Hi, folks, it's Dr. Christine here with another episode of the Sparkles for Better Mental Health podcast. There's healthy alternatives out there. And today I'm really excited to have Sarah Schaefer on the podcast. Now, Sarah is a no nonsense life strategy coach, an author, and a motivational speaker with over 25 years of healthcare leadership. But that's not the whole story, right, Sarah? So tell us the
That
other
is
part.
correct. Hi, Christine, and thank you so much for having me on. Um, you know, we all we are all a product of our childhood. We don't need a scientist or a doctor to tell us that. And we all have our own woven paths. Some that we wove ourselves and some that was made for us. And you know, uh we are survivors. And I think that is the biggest key to I had a very tumultuous childhood and survivor of sexual abuse by a parent. I then was in Manhattan and survived the attacks of 9/11. And I was 25 when that happened. And, you know, continuously was just burying everything, using every substance known to man, drinking, and my second child was diagnosed with a 1 in 500,000 recessive genetic disease called malignant infantile osteopetrosis. So my husband and I, met at McSorley's in the Village in New York, and we both carried this gene. And my older son got my husband's gene, and Mason got both.
Hmm.
So um, briefly, you just don't have functioning osteoclasts. And so his bones became solid, no room for marrow. And we were advised that the only treatment, untreated, he would die by the age of 2, and the only treatment was a stem cell or a bone marrow transplant. So we went with donated umbilical cord stem cells. From that, being crazy mother and already mentally swirling in the dark and spooky, I developed a foundation because his disease was so rare. So a social network. And then from that, he was donated with he was transplanted with donated umbilical cord stem cells. So there was not a donation hospital in the Philadelphia area. So I started the first public cord blood donation program, Mainline Health and Temple University. And all of that going on, and about at 48, you know what? I hit a breaking point, and it was done. And I had been, you know, burying myself, drowning myself in alcohol, not serving myself, my children, my jobs, been fired, all the whole good gamut. And I went to rehab twice. And it was when I finally realized, when you think you deserve better, you probably do. And it really, just as those choices I made for my child, do or die, do or die. And it got to that choice for myself, do or die. And there was no more leeway. Body was giving out. I mean, I was drinking 24/7, anything that wasn't nailed down. And it was finally when I stopped pointing fingers and really took the ownership and accountability for my actions in what I call my dumpster fire, right?
Hmm.
And we cannot get rid of dumpsters keep coming. They got to just a round robin. And we have to make that decision. It's my choice. Am I jumping in and adding to the fire? Or am I going to come up with a strategy on how to survive it, just like I've survived all the other stuff? And finding strength and empowerment in acknowledging women, very much so, do not acknowledge what we've achieved. And I don't mean that in money, job, kids, in what we've survived.
Hmm.
And we get, unfortunately, so focused on the negative, and it goes to the old, the Indian chief who says, which wolf do you feed?
Hmm.
You know? And it's a choice.
Yeah.
And once I accepted that and accepted life on life's terms, our ever wonderful Bill Wilson from AA, life on life's terms. This is it. And so I decided that I needed to get sober, which I did. And I have embraced trauma therapy. I use medical marijuana. I uh, am involved with ketamine therapy, which has made a huge difference with PTSD, and learned how to live.
Mm.
You know, you kind of go through all these things and you're not afraid to die, but you're terrified to live.
That's a very good one. I like that when you say that you're not afraid to die, but terrified to live. What a state of being. Not very good. I really like how you describe the turning point when you suddenly realized that the dumpster fire is going to burn you up, and you instead turned it in what I call a sparkle, that a strategy to survive, right?
Yep.
And that's probably now why you're doing what you're doing. Is that right?
It is. I have been a social worker for 25 years in the hospital, acute care. So I've been doing this. It is who I am. But that entrepreneurship, that kind of stepping back, and as women, our eyes open, we hit our 50s, our midlife, our this, and we're like, wait a minute, this is not where I want to be. This is not what I want to be doing. And understanding that with that empowerment to choose to live is, well, I'm going to do it my way. And
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to my clients the way that works for me and them, and not by a governing force that says you can only say A, B, and C.
Right.
I don't I
I like,
don't buy into it.
yeah.
And I have always walked to the beat of a different drummer. So it just was kind of natural. And I have an amazingly supportive, blind faith husband, but we're a partnership. We have been through so much together. Um, my child who had the stem cell transplant just this past August has now been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which
Oh,
is a direct correlation. It's a potential byproduct of the transplant, and we knew that. But okay, and what this has all taught me is they walk into the room and everybody's, oh, I'm like, all right, what do we do? What do we do? What's the next step? What's the next strategy? And how do we go forward? Because if it's not this, it's going to be the next thing. And if it's not this child, it's going to be another child. It's going to, it just keeps coming.
now there's two things that I really need to ask you. Number one, how old is that child now that was supposed
He
to
is going
die?
to be 16.
Okay.
He is completely blind in his left eye. He's partially blind in his right. He is missing 14 of the adult teeth, and just last week got fitted. He's gone through 7 years of orthodontic um, work that has improved his breathing, his speech, all of this. And so now he has a functioning mouth, and plays football, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, honors student. A lot of kids with osteopetrosis had feeding tubes, completely deaf, completely blind. So we're very, very grateful where we are.
I
And
think he is only so well because you were fighting for him from the start. You are one of the moms that does not give up, is that right?
that
And
is correct.
how long have you been sober by now?
It will be 4 years, May 1st.
Congratulations.
Thank
How long
you.
have you been married?
It'll be 22 years, May 3rd.
I'm really trying
So,
to put a lifeline together. So your husband
yeah,
has been with you through thick and thin.
without doubt. Without doubt.
Makes it
And
stronger, doesn't it? My husband is the same way. We are together 26, and he's a
yeah,
wonderful too. He has seen me.
and and I think that's where society as a whole, the expectations of the woman and all of these things. So women, I believe, do not allow themselves to be with someone who is going to give them that support, because there's such a push of, you need to get married, you need to go to college, you need to get married, you need to have kids. And so there's no time to do, really make sure that, one, you're whole as a woman before you even enter and consider this relationship.
Right.
And two, that it's someone that we have the best belief that they're going to be this partner through the good, the bad, the ugly, the money, the no money, the sick, the healthy, the two kids, the swim meets, the jobs, the lose. I mean,
Bankruptcy or
everything.
whatever, the hospital stays, the throwing up, and the time on the washroom.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that because originally we were going to switch back and forth with like the Ronald McDonald House, and I couldn't leave. There wasn't any option for that. And he just rolled right into the role that he was comfortable in and that was needed. And that was, in the morning coming, getting all the wash, cleaning everything up, bringing the coffee, checking in with the doctors, making, kind of doing all that. And it just, we complement each other. That is a perfect word for it.
I really love that. Now, another aspect that fascinates me is that you had survived significant childhood trauma. Many people do. I myself did, and that's why I'm a havening therapy practitioner, which is a wonderful, gentle psychophysical trauma therapy. And I find it really fascinating. So many people have been abused as children. And what was your way, your strategy, your journey to healing? Did other people hear you, or in the end, who was it that healed?
Well, so the second time I went to rehab, I went to Betty Ford, and I mean, I just got on a plane. It was a disaster, and I had to get across the country I needed to get away. And my first counselor, I mean, I had to go through 10 days of detox. She was nasty. And this counselor to this day, and I still have the card, it's page 417 out of the big book, and it is on acceptance. And I would go in, and yes, he let me tell my story and all of this stuff. And I had, for the first time, said out loud that it was my father who abused me. My father was an Orthodox Jew, cantor in the synagogue. They adopted all these children, and, so there was never a day in the ring. There was never, all of that stuff. So for me to say it out loud about this perceived high authority person was the release that I needed. It made it real, and it made it not okay, but okay to say out loud. So, but from that point forward, I would sit down and this happened to me and this happened to me. And he would slap this thing down up from page 417 on accept life on life's terms. If something or someone is unreasonably, you don't like, what is it about you? And we just kept coming back to me. Yes, these things happened. Yes, planes crashed into the tower. Yes, you know someone who jumped. Yes, you were covered. Yes, but it is not now. And we all know the fight, flight, and freeze that is developed way early. And for many of us women, and for those of us who have survived childhood, she's been on fire since day one. And she doesn't know the difference between real and perceived that threat. And so when you're triggered and when you're not well versed into how to manage those triggers, because they're gonna keep coming. You cannot stop it. That's those intrusive thoughts that the ketamine helps, you know. And so to learn that strategy on how to manage it, but to your point, to your question, sorry, it is acceptance. It is absolute acceptance. One, accepting that I cannot control everything. I am not a religious person. I am a universe gal. That's it. I don't know what's out there. I don't perceive to know, but something bigger than me. And she's got me. And I got, her and my very good friend Karma, they go hand in hand. So,
Really like that because I feel the same way. And when you go out at night and look at the stars, there's something out there that's bigger than us. Some people call it with names like God, Javi, or whatever, but it's an energy form, right? We don't know what it is.
well, and I think, it's because it's just semantics.
Mm.
As long as you believe, and we
Words
are
are
so
so
minuscule.
divisive, aren't they? Words are so divisive. This world is
Right.
divided with words. It's nonsense.
Exactly. Exactly. And, I think to preserve our sanity, we cannot control other people's actions and behaviors. I cannot control your thoughts. But I have the choice to control of whether or not I entertain it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
with the concept of the dumpster fire, yeah, it's a shit show, but it's your choice if you're standing in it. Now, understood that there's extenuating circumstances, and we're not talking about that. But, you know, you, me, we've got stuff going on in our lives, parents, aging parents, children, chaos with the internet, and all of this stuff. Okay, we got to be able to rearrange in our brain, vomit out what no longer serves us. I love the verbal vomit.
Yeah.
And
Call it diarrhea.
yes,
Words.
yep, same thing. Yep.
We all
But,
done it
and
sometimes to other people that we threw up or shit up over them. Yeah, didn't we? Oh,
well, and I don't know if you find this as well, but with clients when they're like, talking, self-talk and positive self-talk, that's crazy. You're already doing it. It's just negative. You're already talking to yourself nonstop.
of
You
course. And
just have to
That's
shift it.
that's the first thing that we have to teach our clients, isn't it? To listen to themselves. And then suddenly they realize what they're really saying. I am not good enough. One of the most common themes that most women tell themselves over and over until they meet a coach like us that can help them shift.
Yep. And I think it's also, you know, um, listening to that self-talk, and I call her the spidey sense, that gut reaction that we know is a physiological connection that is your brain. And we, as women, we have not trusted her. We've
Mm.
questioned her because that's what we were taught.
Yeah,
And so when we get to that place of peace and we're like, oh, she's been there all the whole time. Maybe I should listen to her once or twice.
absolutely. The universal woman in us, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
sometimes tell my clients you have that little treasure chest in you, your inner self. Don't let anybody touch it. It's yours.
And to, going back to owning the things that we've survived and own that we are, right? You're a diamond in the rough. There's so much value to us
Not even
that
in the right
unfortunately we were.
way. Recover your
Yeah.
sparkle. Sometimes we need a little bit cutting, but not always.
Well, and you're exactly right. And I say I will use this with my clients. When you're in that chaos, when you're in the dumpster and you're in a hailstorm, and it's the little tiny ones that just keep coming at you, and they're and they sting and they're irritating and they're incessant. And you see the big storm ahead, and you see the bigger hail. They're going to leave a bruise, and the tornado. Your hair is going to be all kafuddled, but you're going to get on the other side, and the storm's going to come towards you no matter what. You cannot stop it.
Right.
And so my one of my the way I do my practice is we already know what's there. I'm not talking about the uncovering of the trauma. We know mom abandoned us. We know, these things that happen. So let's just boom. Let's go. We've been dancing around it. You've been dancing. I danced around it for 48 years.
Right. I really like your no nonsense, down to earth, common sense approach. Now, another thing, I know you an author. Tell me about that.
Yes, ma'am. So my book, The Dumpster Fire Diaries, is scheduled to launch on February 28th. And I partnered with a fantastic publishing firm that has just really embraced my thought to go against the grain. Again, I'm like, let's just put this out there. And it has the strategies that I have utilized woven through my story because it was time for me to tell my story. I was ready. And, it's not a second by second detailed nothing, but here's this. And the biggest thing is to let people out there know I am not unique. I am not unique at all. And I think once people's mind opens that like, okay, so yeah, that happened to me. I'm not unique either.
We all
And
this
I'm not alone.
no, we are all the same. There's similar things happen to most people, but we are all special in some way.
Well, right. My situation is unique to me,
Mm.
but the fact that I had situations happen, I'm not unique,
Your
you
dog
know.
watching in the background.
Oh, I know.
What is it for dog?
But he's a Labrador Shepherd. His name is JJ, and he is just a sweet love. But he does not like to be ignored.
No, we have a little Pomeranian. He thinks he is the biggest and most important person in the house, and it's his house anyway.
Well, of course,
Oh. And even on
of course.
YouTube, I'm very dismayed that his videos are much more popular than mine.
Popular, absolutely. When anytime I use him, there's just response, and you know,
Gotta do it.
whatever. He brings me joy, so he might as well bring everybody else joy too.
Exactly. Dogs can bring so much joy. Pets generally, but I'm a doggy, but my neighbor loves cats, which is nice. I'm not a cat person. I love dogs.
Well, we have a Siamese, and the two of them are best friends.
That's awesome.
Best friends. So it is worth it. It is humorous and definitely video worthy.
Yeah. Do you do videos about them?
I do some. I do some. Toying around with this. Speaking of toying around with this whole social media thing. I'm 51 years old.
You're young. I'm
I know.
63. What should I say?
I know. And it's just not my favorite thing in the world. But knowing the vehicle that it is, knowing the benefits, if used for good and not evil,
Right. That's the thing.
are, and that's the hard balance. So I kind of in that manner of just whatever, I'm just going to do it. And I just started doing it, meaning posting, some live videos and opinions and just kind of putting out there like, this is who I am. And as you get to know me, I believe you're going to want to work with me.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to hound you
No.
because that's that universe. If you build it, they will come.
I found I'm now doing in that game, I call it, for 9 years or so, 10 years. I just put stuff out. I'm a public person. I don't care. I'm an open book just like you. And people either like me, then they might want to work with me, or they hate me, or they think, oh, who's that old woman there talking about life? Okay, there's other people. And that's
Right.
exactly why I do those podcasts in the wellness universe. I want to showcase other people because some people, they like you better than me. That's perfect. Go with Sarah. She's amazing. Just listen to her.
And that's another beautiful thing, with women. And as we start to support each other on the different platforms, to your point, there's a person for you and there's a person for me. And societal, we've just kind of been geared to compete against each other.
Yeah.
We were trained to do that.
I mean, to be fair to my partner Gary, he's a very caring man. There's wonderful men out
Yes, I am not meaning, yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
to include the sweetness of men, but there's
No,
in all genders. I just wanted to say that because I'm for real equality. So for me, it doesn't really matter what gender or are your looks or what education. It doesn't matter. I want to know what kind of person you are. Do you care?
absolutely. Yes.
And I think that's important. And you seem like a really caring, great person. Let me ask you, if somebody really likes that show because we're coming to the end and they say, "Oh my God, this Sarah is nice. She talks sensible. That makes sense to me. That dumpster fire is burning in me. I need some help to stamp it out, put something
Jump out of it. Jump out of it.
jump
Just
out of it, whatever I can do." How can they reach you? How can they contact you?
absolutely. The easiest way is my website, which is beabutterfly.net. And it's BEA butterfly.
Ah,
Um,
butterfly. It's obvious.
beabutterfly.net. And it's funny because when I got the website, I was really upset about the net. And then it just kind of made sense to me. I'm like, oh, be a butterfly net. Okay, that works. Because I was like, oh, it's not .com. People are gonna, oh, yeah, we'll fix it. We'll do it that way.
In the end, it doesn't matter that much, I think.
I agree.
And I like the,
As I'm
it
finding
is,
out,
remember, who doesn't want to be a butterfly? And
and
she
it's
from a
honestly, so
nasty, ugly
it's
worm. Look at that.
it's tattooed on my arm. My oldest son has this. My youngest son will be getting it when he turns 16. And it really is every time they walk out of the house, I tell them, be a butterfly, learn, grow, evolve, you know, and be the most beautiful creature you have the capability of being. And that's it. That's as simple as it is.
It's a wonderful symbol, really, when you think about it, to go from an ugly worm to a period of encasement where you're with yourself, and then suddenly you're ready and you spread that cocoon, spread your wings, and fly.
Yep.
It's beautiful, Sarah, and I'll make sure your name, your website will be underneath the video. And
Excellent.
it was such a pleasure to meeting you.
This was amazing. Thank you so much. Such a delight.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And for all that listen, thank you so much for listening. And please tune in for the next episode or the Authentic AI Insights podcast that I just launched. We enjoy featuring worthy wellness providers like Sarah in our AI Wellness Universe podcasts. And if you feel like it, check it out. And maybe you want to join us and come to our events. We would love to have you.